from the information and hear our discussion and get the same learning. So I would encourage you to consider minimizing distractions while we're doing this workshop to ensure that you can be fully present and absorb the material. If you're having technical difficulties, you can let us know in the chat bar, or you can call that first number. Maybe don't call the second one as it turns out, but please do feel free to give us a call or give us a heads up. If you can't hear us or if you're having technical difficulties, and we'll help you out. And also, if you could all mute your microphones for now. We'll be calling on you later on to participate verbally. But if you can all mute your microphones for now.
To mute your microphones, it's on the left-hand side of your name. You see the participant panel is on your right with your name. And just at the end of the line of your name, you're going to see a little microphone. And you click on it once, and it's like a toggle that will work to mute. And then you click on it again to unmute to speak. So just try to unmute, make sure we can get you speaking if we need to. Great. So
Perfect.
That's how that works. So just do that, and we're looking forward to an engaging evening.
All right. So mute those microphones, and we can get started, and hopefully we'll get Carla in here shortly. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. So oh, there's Carla. Not sure why. That's okay, Carla. Margaret's going to try to help Carla out so we can get her in here. Okay, so if you could all take a second using the chat bar and tell me where you're joining us from. I am all by myself in the Halifax MFRC location. Probably should have thought to have someone else here with me, but that's all right. Just me and the ghost, I suppose. Cole Harbor. Where's everyone else? Yes, that's right. Margaret is joining us all the way from Germany. So it's really late where she is. So we really appreciate her taking the time to be with us tonight. In my pajamas. Awesome. As well you should be. The best part of virtual programming is that all you need is a computer and a comfy seat and sweatpants. And you're all set. Wonderful. All right, well, let's get started. All right, so let's get started with today's program. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're very excited to be with you today to present 9 strategies to support children through deployment. This is the second time we're offering this workshop virtually. So we're looking forward to your feedback on what works and what recommendations you might have for next time. Throughout the session, we'll be using the term parent to include all those who care for the child. We will be providing you with some of the best practices and up-to-date research in the field. Some of the resources we have included are the Road to Mental Readiness Program, Kids Have Stress Too from the Psychology Foundation of Canada, Mind Masters and the app, and the Anxiety BC website, in addition to a few others, which we'll include in our resource list. So after the workshop, we're going to send you an email with the PowerPoint presentation, handouts, and links to any resources that we reference. So you don't have to worry about writing things down and can focus on the presentation for this evening, and you'll get all the information you want to reference after.
And Danny, also don't forget, at the end of the session when we log out is when the evaluation will come, and we really value your thoughts.
Exactly. It's a perfect opportunity to share your thoughts with us while it's fresh in your mind. So a quick word about confidentiality. We encourage everyone participating in this workshop today to take the material being presented and adapt it to your own lives and needs. People in the workshop today may express concerns related to their individual lives, and we ask that everyone please respect one another's privacy and share only strategies and resources outside of this program rather than individual stories and identifiable details. Okay. So you're in the right place tonight if you want to develop a better understanding of the deployment cycle, learn more about resilience, and learn strategies, tools, and approaches to help children manage separation. Oh, I think we have Hi, Carla.
Carla, do we have your voice now?
I'm here.
Yay! Woo! Thanks for not giving up.
I'm so glad. All right, so Carla and everyone else, you're in the right place tonight if you want to develop a better understanding of the deployment cycle, learn about resilience, and learn strategies, tools, and approaches to help children manage separation. We will do our best today to touch on strategies for various ages and stages and to reflect on the varying needs of children. If you have specific concerns, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so before we continue, give us a green check if you think you're in the right place. A green check is on the right-hand side of your screen. There you go. Vanessa's in the right place.
I don't have a green one.
You don't have a green one. It's on the right-hand side. Do you see a little hand and then a green check and a red X? No, you won't because you're joining on a phone, but you can just say yes.
Okay. Yes.
All right, great. Well, I'm glad we're all in the right place. So we'll do our best today to touch on strategies for various ages and stages to reflect the varying needs of children. And if you have any specific questions or particular questions about your children, we're happy to discuss individually at a later time, either virtually or in person. All right, so now let's hear from you. We're going to get you to type on the screen to share some more information about yourselves and your family. So let me draw your attention to the top left side of the screen. Here you'll see a big thick arrow. This is called the pointer. Click on the pointer and then click on the slide to claim a spot.
So Carla, you won't be able to use the pointer, but I think you can use the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
During the presentation, and you can chat to us any of the questions that she asks, okay?
Okay.
All right. Oh, wonderful. Everyone's got the pointer. Now to the right of the pointer icon is the letter T. This is called the text tool. There's a few things to know about the text tool. First, for everyone to be able to see what you've written, you need to actually click away from the word that you've typed with your mouse. Another point is that when you come to the end of a line, you can press enter to go to the next line. Also, to the right of the text bar, you will see that you can change the color of your font by clicking on the drop-down menu beside the color box. It is wise to change the font color if your font is the same color as the slide, as it can be hard to see. All right, so now that we all have the text tool, please use it to type how old your children are, if you're experiencing a deployment right now, and if this is your children's first experience of deployment. So grab that capital T, click beside your pointer, and let us know how old your kids are they experiencing a deployment, and if they are, is this their first time experiencing a deployment? Margaret, your babies are 22 and 24.
Yes.
200 weeks of family separation. Wow.
Well, that's over 27 years.
That's still a few. That's still a few.
So, Carla, how old are your children, if you want to put in the text in the chat?
Oh, one sec.
I know. We should have shorthand chat. I guess they do have it now.
4 and 9. They both had deployments when their dad was away. And now you're leaving for basic. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting. When do you go?
March 3rd.
Okay, so pretty soon. And remind me, that's 3 months, is it?
Yeah, 3 months and then another 3 months.
Okay. So
and
they're getting
my
ready.
husband's here with me, Steve, because he's going to be home.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad you'll both hear the information. Oh, and Vanessa, your children are 3 and 6, short deployment right now, 3 weeks, multiple short ones, no long ones yet. Oh, but one is coming in July. Is that going to be with the Ville de Quebec? I think that's when they leave. I can't remember exactly. Yes, it is with the Ville de Quebec. Okay. Well, then it sounds like you're all in the right place, and hopefully we'll be able to share some information with you tonight. All right, so now that we've talked over some logistics and confirmed we're all in the right place, let's take a minute to put the face to the voices you'll be hearing over the next hour. So my name is Danny Allery, and I'm a social worker in the role of Family Liaison Officer with the Mental Health and Wellbeing team here at the Halifax and Region Military Family Resource Center. I've been here for almost 3 years now, since my spouse and I were posted to Halifax with the RCMP. So in addition to facilitating lots of psychoeducational workshops like this one, I also offer short-term one-on-one couple and family support, crisis intervention, emergency provisions, assessments, and referrals. And normally this would be where my colleague Andrea Sweeney, whose face you see there, some of you may know her, this is where she would introduce herself, but unfortunately Andrea is unwell, so she's not able to join us tonight. So Margaret, I'll invite you to introduce yourself.
Yes, well, thank you. So my name is Margaret McKenzie. I am the behind-the-scenes producer for tonight. I'm a virtual program development and training is my role, and I'm a military spouse with 26 years of service, 12 moves, and more than 200 weeks of family separation. So I'm looking forward to being here with you tonight.
Thank you for your service, Margaret. That is a long time. And for those of you who didn't hear earlier, Margaret is joining us from Germany. So what time is it for you, Margaret?
It's 1:21.
So very kind of you to stay up past what I assume to be bedtime to be with us.
Yeah. It's all good.
Okay. All right. So now that we know who we're listening to, if you're ready to go, click the green check mark above the chat bar and let us know we can get started.
And Carla, just say yes in the chat.
Oh, right.
There's many different ways we can do this.
Absolutely. All about creativity. Awesome. So the fact that you've joined this session today shows that you're interested in supporting your child the best that you can. We know that parents would move mountains to make sure their children are happy, safe, and cared for. At the MFRC, we also believe that there is no such thing as the perfect parent or the perfect caregiver. There are no quick fixes, easy answers, or recipes for parenting. Parenting is a process that involves trial and error. Parents know their children better than anyone. You are your children's best support system, and you're the best people to teach life skills to your children. You are the expert on your own child. We also believe that no two kids are exactly the same, and parenting is hard work. Okay, so here you see some common challenges that we've heard from families over the past, however many years we've been doing this. 31, I guess the MFRC has been around now, 31 years.
Yeah.
It's getting to be a while. So these are some common challenges we've heard family members share when they're experiencing deployment. So things like changes in sleeping, changes in eating, maybe fears or anxious feelings, sadness or crying, resistance to routines, possibly old ones that they've had for a long time, or resistance to forming new routines, difficulty focusing in school, changes in behavior, and maybe discomfort with the parent who's away. You might see children not be sure how to talk on the phone to them, on Skype. They might freeze or get nervous or forget what to say, and also possibly regression, so developmental milestones that have been reached, like toilet training, might temporarily be lost. You might see this particularly in younger children, and maybe attention-seeking behaviors. And you know what that would look like for your child. So children react in a variety of ways, depending on their age, stage, and development and temperament. All children, even the youngest babies, have a genuine capacity to miss their deployed parent. Young children may not understand why their parent is gone and may not be able to voice their emotions, but they can feel the loss of the parent and sense the increased stress in their household. So looking at these challenges, it can seem overwhelming, but we want to reassure you it's a normal part of the military lifestyle. These same challenges are also opportunities for growth and developing resiliency. And good news, it's normal. So how people react to separation can be highly individual. There's no right way to do it. However, military families often describe common emotions and experiences that can be summarized in the cycle of deployment. Has anyone seen the cycle of deployment before? Give us a green check mark if so, or a red X if it's new to you. A couple of checks. Carla, you can type in the text box. You have. Okay, so this is familiar to everyone. That's wonderful to see. So just for a refresher, we're going to talk about some of the stages. So you can see here that there are 7 stages in the cycle. and they look a lot like a roller coaster with lots of waves, ups and downs. These waves represent the normal ebbs and flows of emotions through the cycle of deployment. So for today's purposes, because we're talking about deployment, we'll be focusing on stages 1 through 4. So stage 1 refers to the anticipation of loss. This refers to the time period leading up to departure. Reactions from children during this stage could be different depending on their ages and stages. Younger children may have difficulty understanding time, while older children need time to adapt. Some children may ask if the parent really has to go, while others may not fully understand the reason behind the deployment. In a child's mind, it may feel like the parent chose to go away, leaving them feeling abandoned. The child may also feel guilty or worried that their behavior caused their parent to leave or feel resentment towards the parent for leaving. Stage 2 refers to detachment and withdrawal. This refers to the period immediately prior to departure, usually about 4 to 6 weeks before the departure. Reactions from children at this stage may include sensing stress and acting out, having more tantrums, showing regressive behaviors or attention-seeking behaviors. Young children may cling to the parent at home and worry that they will also leave. Children may also withdraw from the deployed parent or feel numb towards them leading up to their departure. It may seem strange, but this is actually a functional thing. What it's doing without the child consciously realizing it is building emotional distance and preparation for that parent to be away. We do the same thing as spouses as well when our partner's getting ready to leave. Stage 3 refers to emotional disorganization, referring to the timeline immediately following departure. Young children may struggle to understand how long the parent is going to be gone for, and older children may experience mixed emotions of anger and relief from the tension of the previous stages. Children may test their limits and boundaries because of changes in the family and changes in routines. Sometimes older children will try to take the role of the deployed parent, and this can be reinforced by others, like grandparents and caregivers. Older children may also worry about the safety and comfort of the deployed parent. So that brings us to stage 4, recovery and stabilization. So this stage refers to the sometime after departure when you start to feel like you're getting your feet under you. It's different for everyone. New routines start to take structure, plans start to take shape, and some things start to settle. There will still be normal ups and downs, particularly if you're experiencing shorter, more frequent deployments. So Megan, we were chatting about this earlier, about how when you're experiencing frequent interval sailing, in for 2 weeks, gone for 3 weeks, in for 3 weeks, home for 2 weeks, in and out, that kind of frequent interval sailing will often mean that these stages are shuffled and are experienced in a slightly different way. So the point of the cycle is just to give you an idea of the range of stress reactions and particularly stressful points during deployment, so you can be aware of yourself and your family's feelings and needs. Good news, it's normal, even if these stages don't happen in the exact order you see here because of the way you experience deployment. This is just to remind you that it is a normal part of the military lifestyle. So we know from our many years here at the MFRC that families generally adapt successfully to deployment. So how do they do it? It requires resilience, the ability to bounce back and manage life's challenges and changes. As parents, you play a major role in helping children learn to do this. Children don't have the same lived experiences and skills that adults do to manage life. So they look to you and how you manage your own stress and emotions to learn how to manage theirs. Being aware of your own emotions and that of the other parents can help you understand how your children experience change and how you can support one another. You won't do this well all the time. We all have our moments, and that's okay. Coaching children to keep things in perspective and helping them understand that change is a normal part of life will help them get through tough times and move forward. The strategies we're going to share today provide ideas of how you can strengthen and build resiliency in your families. Children can learn to relieve stress and find ways to respond to challenging situations. And by learning to cope with those ups and downs that are a normal part of life, children develop healthy strategies to help them adapt, be more resourceful, and become more resilient adults. Any Star Wars fans today? Using the chat bar, give me a yes if you are. Oh, I see one check mark. Star Wars fans here? Yes, Margaret, you are. That's wonderful. When Andrea and I were planning this, she said she did not understand Star Wars. Steve is a fan. Oh, good. That's great. So for those of you who are maybe less familiar, this picture is from the original Star Wars movie, which was called A New Hope. In this picture, Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia look like they're preparing for something, possibly a battle for the galaxy. And it looks like they're having some feelings about it. So using that pointer tool again, grab a place on the slide and use your text tool to write what feelings Luke and Leia look like they might be having.
And Carla, you can use the chat. What feelings are they having?
Help, hold me, I'm scared. Yes, that seems to be the feeling. Hesitant, right? What other feelings might they have? Yes, anxiety, for sure. I see that in both their faces. Anticipation and worry. Yes, look like they're getting ready for a battle. Okay. So these are all real feelings that Luke and Leia might be having. So although you and your children are not preparing for a battle of the galaxy necessarily, some of you might identify with some of the same feelings that they're having. Fear, discomfort, hesitancy, anticipation, worry, feeling protective. These are all common feelings when preparing for something new. As the parent on the home front, your role is to establish security for yourselves and your children when your loved one is away. A big part of this is establishing a new normal, which refers to adjusting, adapting, changing, and shaping routines into what normal will look like during the deployment. This is also key in shifting from the emotional disorganization of stage 3 into the stability of stage 4. The following 9 strategies are ways to help you, hopefully, establish your new normal.
So can I ask you a question?
Please.
This picture, then, what stage would it represent, do you think?
That's a good question. Does anyone want to answer that using the chat bar? What do you think? What stage would this be? No one wants to guess. Stage 1? Yeah, definitely could be stage 1. I think the feelings they're having here could show up in any of the stages, you know, especially those first 3 as they're ramping up on that first part of the roller coaster. Yeah, good question, Margaret.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so here we go, launching into strategy number 1. So strategy number 1 is know your child. And the main point we want to drive home here is that you know your child best. No 2 kids are exactly the same, and your challenge as a parent is to know and work with your individual child and their emotional needs. For those of you who have more than one child, that probably means that what works for one child doesn't work for the other, something you're probably very familiar with already. So just as there are no...
I always used to laugh because we had 2 parents that were the same and the kids are so different.
Yes, and it's amazing they come from the same 2 humans and be so different. Right. Just as there are no perfect parents, there are no perfect children. Children are all at different developmental ages and stages, and how they operate in the world is different. Some children are outgoing, others are cautious. Some children thrive in new environments and situations, where others are more anxious about new things. Some children have big feelings they express freely, where others keep their feelings more to themselves. There's no right or wrong. What children need is the opportunity to be themselves. Keep in mind that your children always grow and change, but as the parent, you're the constant in this journey. Using the pointer tool again, grab a spot on the slide and use your text tool to type one word that you might use to describe your child. Might be feisty, ferocious, calm, easygoing, apprehensive. What's a word for your child? Remember to click away when you're done typing so you can see. I'm going to share a word about my fur baby.
Haha, good.
My fur baby is ferocious, or he would like to be. Kind and honest, one for each child. The oldest is a perfectionist, Vanessa, and your youngest is active. Okay, so there you go with two different children. Megan, your children are active. Great, those are great words. So as a parent, you've supported your children during tough times before, and you know how they've coped in the past. When we meet children where they're at and focus on their individual needs, we send the message that we understand. Helping anxious children to find ways to work through their worries instead of brushing them off shows that we care. When we take time to stop overscheduling kids who need extra downtime, we show them that we get it. And when we take the time to teach our high-intensity kids how to manage big, scary emotions, we show them that we know that life is hard and sometimes you just need help. There's a lot to be said for understanding their strengths and accepting their limitations. Finding what works for each child takes time, curiosity, and practice.
Even after 26 years, you still need practice.
Right. You never stop learning. My father said to me the other day, after 47 years of marriage, he just found out my mom doesn't like Mexican food.
You never stop learning.
You never stop learning.
That's a good lesson.
Okay, so it's so important to acknowledge and celebrate your child's strengths. So just as we've had you share one word about your child, we're going to talk a little more about what they're good at. It's easy to get caught up in the busy work of parenting, much less parenting through a deployment. Diapers, dishes, homework, daycare, illnesses, there's always something that needs doing. When you're able to stop and think about your children's strengths, what are they? Using that pointer tool again, grab a spot on the slide and use your text tool to share one of your children's strengths or several of their strengths. What are they good at? Talking about my fur baby again. He is good at sleeping. He is good at sleeping.
It's never too late. It is never too late.
Oh, absolutely. Never too late. Oh, Vanessa, your oldest is learning to read. That's wonderful. Margaret, your children are each other's best friends.
Yes, through all the postings and deployments, they always had each other.
That's wonderful. Were they always best friends?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I can't say the same for me and my sister, but that's wonderful. Learning to read, good at math, showing affection. Your youngest is good at staying positive, Vanessa. Oh, that's a wonderful strength. And Megan, your child is good at sharing. They're kind and thoughtful. What beautiful qualities your children all have. So by recognizing and focusing on your child's strengths, it helps us to identify our children's needs and what we can do to support them. So just as we've said, it's important to know your individual child and know what they need. It's also important to be aware of some common needs that children all have. So the opportunity for honest and open communication, age appropriately, at every stage of the cycle of deployment is something that all children need. Examples could include having a family discussion about the deployment and how it will affect everyone, encouraging children to share their feelings, including them in plans for homecoming and reunion, having conversations about what to expect, and so on. It's important that during these busy times that children are aware of what's going on and feel that their concerns are heard. Children also need unconditional love, especially during times of stress and change. This may include finding creative ways for the parent who's going to be away, as well as the parent who's at home, to show that they care. It could be with words, songs, poems, reading stories, notes, coloring, quality time together, both active and quiet. We'll include some suggestions for activities in your post-workshop email. Knowing what to say is often difficult. When no words come to mind, a hug and saying something like, "This is really hard for you," can be especially helpful for younger children who developmentally are not able to understand everything that's happening. Acknowledging that this is difficult will allow the child to recognize these as normal feelings. Children also need some predictability, reliability, and consistency in their lives. When the new normal hasn't quite been sorted out, it's important that children still know what and who they can rely on. Helping your children identify with what is the same and what is different about their new routines is helpful as well. It's okay to acknowledge that there are some things that you're not sure about, like exact return dates. There will be many instances in this deployment, as in life, that you won't be able to predict everything. That's okay. Your family will figure it out as you go. What might you add to this list for your children? Using the chat bar, share something with us that you think your child needs. Might be extra cuddles, one-on-one time, quiet activities, physical outlets. What else might your child need? Extra cuddles, yes.
I like how Carla said, was talking about her youngest as a comedian. And I think comedy is a great resource to draw upon, especially during deployment. And it brings patience, right?
Patience is, yes, absolutely. Especially for younger children, we'll talk a little later about how the mind, often works faster than the mouth. So it might take them a while to voice what they're feeling and get in touch with themselves. So definitely allowing them the time to do so is so important.
So any other thoughts on what your child needs? Just put it in the chat. Patience. Patience is a great one. Oh, we've got some, Vanessa, you're writing. I love it.
Extra hugs for the oldest, and the youngest is still understanding, but just reminding that daddy's on a boat. Yes, exactly. Younger children will need more reminders than older children for sure of what's happening. And that they are safe and that they're okay, and that just because they aren't seeing their parent, that they're safe and okay too. So by checking in with children and taking the time to think about, go ahead.
Can I ask Vanessa if she could change her color? Because sometimes it's hard to see the pink.
Sure.
And if you go to the pink box, Vanessa, on the top left-hand side of your screen, and there's a drop-down menu, you can choose any other color because the pink is hard for me to see on the green. Thank you. Go ahead.
Wonderful. So by checking in with children and getting a read on the things that they need, both individually and in general, we have an opportunity to get a read on how their needs are being met and what else we can do to support our kids. Okay, strategy number 2 is check-ins.
Oh, I love this slide.
Yeah, this is a great slide. The magic of Google. So check-ins refer to taking the time to stop, look, and listen to your child, teaching them how to do their own check-in, and also how you as the caregiver take time to check in with yourself. One way to do this is by using the stop, look, and listen method from Kids Have Stress Too. The first step is stop. Some parents find that the best time to talk to their children is when they're doing some everyday activity together, maybe riding in the car or folding laundry. Any quiet time during the day or at bedtime might work. It's important to find a time when you're relaxed and not feeling rushed so that you can be together without interruption. You could use a strategy like high-low as a means of asking your children about the highest and lowest points of their day. You could also use a deck of cards. Each person draws a card and then the suit determines what they share. If you draw a heart, you share something that you love. A spade is something that makes you feel sad, and a club is something that makes you mad, and diamonds are for wishes. In your house, what might be the best time to check in with your child? Grab a spot on the screen using your pointer tool and type to tell us what the best time of the day you think might be to check in with your child.
I always remember the best check-ins were when I was picking the kids up in the car. They would share so much that we would go around the block 3 or 4 times before we got home because I didn't want it to end.
Good strategy.
Yeah, but then when they got older, they said, "Oh no, we're going around the block again."
Yeah, they caught on. Darn.
They caught on.
Carla, bedtime is usually the best for your girls. Yeah, that's a great time. Bedtime and walking to school. Oh, good one. Right when we get home. That's when they're at their chattiest day. Yeah. There's lots of good times and strategic ways to know when a good time is to check in with your child. The next step is look. So once a day, casually check your child's face. Are they looking into your eyes? And do they look back at you when you look at them? Does their jaw seem tense and tight? Are they smiling and happy? Do they seem relaxed? Can you remember the last time you actually had a chance to look at your child's face? As parents, I know how hard it can be to stop and find the time just to look and observe your child. The last step is listen. To show you're really interested in your child and what they're saying, sit facing them and look at their face. Listen without speaking. Nod your head and give verbal encouragement. And remember, like we said before, the tongue often works slower than the mind, and sometimes it seems to take forever for young children to say something. And it can take even longer if a child is trying to express something difficult or upsetting. It's important to give a child the time. Another way of helping children to identify their feelings is to read books about separation and feelings. It can give children the words to express themselves rather than assuming that they have the words to describe their feelings. We'll send some of these references in the after-session email.
What has been one of the favorite books that you've read about deployment?
We have a few at the MFRC. We've run out of one that I used to like, which was about a family of beavers, and Mom was going to be away for a while.
Family of beavers?
A family of, well, it doesn't get any more Canadian than that. Yes, they were a family of beavers, and there's all kinds of books out there. So if you want some specific suggestions or you want to peruse what we might have on site, do feel free to let us know. Okay, another way to check in with your children and to check in with yourselves is to use a visual reference. The picture you see here is called the Mental Health Continuum Model. It's part of the Road to Mental Readiness program, and it's something that we use for mental health self-awareness. Is anyone familiar with this model or has seen it before? Give us a green check mark if you have. Anyone seen it before? You can also use the chat bar to type yes or no if you're familiar or not. Okay, so this is fairly new to people. That's great. That means there's more to talk about. So the continuum is intended to be a tool to better understand mental health and check in with where you are at any given time. The term mental health is used a lot, and we all perhaps have a different idea of what that means. When we refer to mental health, we're using this definition you see on the screen here. Can I get a volunteer to read the definition aloud? Click the hand raise button above the participant panel if you'd like to read for us. The little hand beside the green check mark.
So I think the only one that could read for us would be Megan. Oh,
wonderful. She's willing to do so. So Megan, can you read the definition for us?
Mental health is how we think, feel, and act as we cope with life. Our mental health helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices.
Right on. Thank you so much for reading that for us. So again, just to make sure we're all on the same page and have the same understanding of what we're talking about when we refer to mental health. The Beaver book, that's right. It is called Joey's Mom is Going Away. That's right. Thank you for the reminder. So we like to think about mental health as a color-coded continuum, like you see in the picture here. Being green or healthy means that you're calm and you're ready to go. A person will not be green all the time. It's normal to range into the yellow as you deal with normal stressors as a part of life. Being in the yellow is normal, but staying in the yellow for prolonged periods of time can affect our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and it can be a risk factor for getting into the orange. Using strategies to get back to green when we find ourselves in yellow is a great way to maintain our wellness. If you find yourself in the orange or the red, you may need to reach out for supports to get back to the green. We'll go over some of those supports and resources for getting back to green at the end of the workshop. So the mental health continuum model is a visual that helps adults to check in with themselves, recognizing when they're green, yellow, or maybe orange or red. But parents can use the stress stoplight with children in similar ways. This tool can be used with children as young as 3 years old to help the whole family use similar language to describe how they're feeling. I'm feeling green today, things are going well, or I'm feeling red today, I need to change something to feel better. Some families have made pictures of the stoplight together, or put it on the fridge or a door frame so children can point to and indicate how they're feeling. Similar to the mental health continuum, the red zone is when children are under too much stress or they're feeling upset or overwhelmed. The yellow is when children are ready to make a change so that they can move to the green and feel better. It might be when they're feeling anxious, maybe a little worried, or possibly a little cranky. The green means go. Children are happy, they're playing like themselves, thinking clearly, and feeling comfortable. We all want to help our children get to green. Remember, the goal is not a stress-free life. It's about stressing better, and learning strategies that help you move towards the green are a big part of this, which brings us to strategy number 3. So when we are experiencing a great deal of change and fluctuation in our lives, such as during or leading up to a deployment, we might notice that our bodies react. The mind and body are interconnected. When the body is relaxed, the mind can slow down. And when the mind is calm, the body can relax. Adults can teach children how the mind and body are connected by providing opportunities for movement, stretching, and action. Learning ways to relax helps children to feel better, be less tense or upset, and become more confident in themselves. As children learn to identify their own stressors and when they are in the red, they are better able to use tools like moving their body to help them become calm. It isn't always easy to relax, but it's a really important life skill. What relaxation activities do you and your children use now? Use the pointer tool to grab a spot on the slide and use your text tool to tell us. Remember to click away when you're done typing so we can see what you've written. I need to change my font color because I had changed it to green for the last slide. I'm going to change it back to blue.
So what makes you relax? Just thinking about relaxing makes me relaxed. What do you do to relax?
There's so many different things that you can do, and again, it has a lot to do with your individual child. Warm bubble bath. Yes, that's a great one for kids and for adults. My child will only say, "Can you play with me?" So that's how you know they're asking for play with mom, and that's how they relax. Reading together, watching TV together, coloring together, so lots of togetherness and activities. That's
you know,
wonderful.
Danny, at the very beginning you said we know our children best, and with Megan's comment, wow, that's so true. You know,
so you know exactly what that
means.
She
understands, right.
Right. And Carla, you said watch a family movie together and breathing exercises as well as exercising. Oh, those are great ones. And speaking of breathing exercises, I'm glad you mentioned, we'll be talking about some of those later. So those are great ideas. We have some more that we'll share in your after-session email as well.
Carly, do you do breathing exercises with your kids?
That's awesome.
That's great.
Okay, so for our own need for movement, we acknowledge that you've been sitting and patiently following along with us for a while now. So we want to get you moving too. We're going to do a quick activity that you can try with your children called Spaghetti Toast, which is from Mind Masters. This is a relaxation exercise that uses the concept of uncooked and cooked spaghetti to teach the difference between tension and relaxation. We're going to play the recording of Spaghetti Toast, and we'd like you all at home to follow along with us and move around a little bit.
Hey kids, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, wiggle your legs, wiggle your nose. Let's all play spaghetti toes. Get yourself into a comfortable position. Close your eyes. Be very quiet and still, and just listen to my voice. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. We're going to play a game called Spaghetti Toes. There are lots of games you can play with your mind and body. You can make your body run fast or sit still. You can make your mind think of funny things or relaxing things. In order to play Spaghetti Toes, you have to listen closely and do what I ask. Can you do that? Great. Let's begin. Did you ever see spaghetti before it's cooked? It's kind of hard and stiff, and it's easy to break. When it's cooked, it's warm and soft, and it kind of lies down and curls up on your plate. I want to see if you can talk to your toes to get them to go soft and sleepy like warm spaghetti lying on your plate. Tell your toes to wiggle. Are they wiggling? On both feet? Good. Now tell those toes to stop wiggling. Tell them to go soft and sleepy like warm spaghetti lying on your plate. Wiggle your legs.
We'll leave it there for now. Work. So it goes through the whole body from toes to nose, showing kids how to tense and then relax their body. This is a great way to help children feel the difference between stress and relaxation and to appreciate how good it feels to be relaxed. Hopefully you're all feeling a little more relaxed yourselves. Where can we get this? Excellent question. So this is available on the MindMasters website. You can also download the MindMasters app, and it would be on there as well. The image you see here is an image from the app itself. So you can download that in the App Store for free. Ooh. Right. So speaking of breathing and feeling good and feeling relaxed, that's our next strategy, breathing. It's an important tool to give you and your children an opportunity to pause, reboot, and get back on track. When you're worried or stressed, your heart beats faster and you breathe in and out faster. When you slow down your breathing and breathe deeply from your belly, you relax. There are lots of apps that can provide breathing exercises for you and your children. MindMasters is one. Stop, Think, Breathe is another one. Breathing and movement strategies are appropriate for all ages and stages of children. Let's take a minute to try a breathing activity together. Okay, so I'm going to paste a YouTube link into the chat bar for you all to click on.
So while you're doing that, when you share a YouTube, we ask you a couple things. Make sure you're muted. Once you've clicked on the YouTube and seen the video, please click on the green and blue ball at the bottom of your screen to come back to us.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I've just put the link in, so hopefully everyone can see it in the chat bar. So follow the link.
On the link and mute your microphone, and we'll come back in a minute.
If you can give us a green check mark when you're back, or give us a yes in the chat bar and let us know that you're back once you've watched it, we'll reconvene.
We lost Carla.
I think we did. Oh dear. Oh, Megan's back. And Vanessa's back. Okay, wonderful. Well, I hope you all feel great after taking a few minutes to really take some deep breaths. We don't give ourselves enough opportunity to do that a lot of the time. So pictured here on the slide are images from the various activities on the Stop, Think, Breathe app. We'll include some more information about where and how to download this in your post-workshop email. All right, next we're on to strategy 5, self-talk and imagination. The way we interpret a situation is affected, at least in part, by what we think and the way we talk to ourselves about it. Families have shared that when they view deployment as a problem or something to resist or fight against, their ability to cope has been limited. In contrast, when families have identified taking a more accepting view of the deployment as being the reality versus being the problem, it becomes easier to manage. Likewise, if children perceive an event or stressor as beyond their ability to cope, they'll experience higher levels of stress. If children blow a situation out of proportion, making it seem huge and overwhelming, they can create even more stress by catastrophic thinking. How our children learn to deal with life has a lot to do with how we as parents view life and handle our problems. If we're optimistic, we seek options to our problems. If we're pessimistic, we seek someone to blame. Parents can assist children by respecting their thoughts and feelings while offering reassurance and support, helping them develop a more realistic perspective of the situation, and encouraging them to use positive self-talk. So positive self-talk refers to when we talk nicely to ourselves. It reduces stress by helping us to stay calm, highlighting our strengths, and affirming what we're capable of doing. Preschoolers to 6-year-olds will often imitate and observe thoughts, beliefs, and language from those around them, especially their parents. This is especially important age for parents to model positive self-talk and affirm the best qualities in their children. At this age, children can use positive self-talk strategies like affirmations, i.e. I'm smart, funny, and lovable, positive self-statements like I can ride my bike or I can share my toys, and self-praise, I did it, good for me. Children naturally employ self-talk when they play, and parents can join in by using puppets and stuffed animals and speaking to them in a positive way. Children ages 6 to 9 are able to notice negative thoughts and start to change them. Instead of saying things like, I can't do this, no one cares about me, or this is dumb, we can ask children what alternate statements they might say. This might include, I'm getting better at this, I'm learning, I can ask for help from the people who love me, or I'm trying something new. Another strategy that Kids Have Stress Too talks about is talking nicely to myself, my two voices. I love this one. Parents can help children imagine that they have two little people, one on either shoulder. One is a friendly little buddy who cheers for you, says good things about you, and sticks up for you, while the other is a mean, critical bully who points out all your mistakes and calls you names. We can encourage children to listen to their buddy voice instead of their bully voice. Another way to help children notice their thoughts is to watch out for negative messages that can pop up. Sometimes these pop-ups will have children thinking about all the terrible things that could happen and all the ways they won't be able to deal. You can teach children to catch and notice negative pop-ups and replace them with more encouraging thoughts. We'll include pop-ups and talking nicely to myself handouts in the after-session email, so you can check them both out and decide what works best for your child.
What I like about that section is the self-talk is not only for the children, I think it's for parents as well. The
That's
positive
right.
self-talk.
Oh, I agree, and I will say that, you know, for the moms in the room, I know that statistically speaking, women have something ridiculous, like, 15,000 negative thoughts in a day.
Wow.
Which is a lot. So we as parents and adults modeling speaking nicely to ourselves really does help children to learn that and learn to be kind and gentle to themselves. Imagination is another skill that helps children relax their minds and bodies. Ask children to imagine a place that they feel calm, happy, and peaceful. It could be a real place or an imaginary place. They can draw or write about their happy place and use it when they're feeling stressed. You can also use imagination as a strategy to help children feel more connected with their parent who's away. There are a lot of imagination activities you can try. Some families have shared with us that they look at the moon together at nighttime and imagine that their loved one is looking at the same moon wherever they are. Some families have also shared that they imagine at dinner time what their loved one is having for dinner that day. With older children who have a better understanding of time, they can figure out what time it is where their loved one is and imagine what they might be doing. Are they sleeping? Are they having their dinner? Are they reading a book or playing a game? These can make a loved one not feel so far away and helps keep them incorporated in children's daily routines. So moving on to strategy 6, problem solving. So as we've spoken throughout the workshop, problems and challenges are a normal part of life. How do you know when your child has a problem? Using that pointer tool again, grab a spot on the screen and give us one sentence or less of what you may see or hear from your child to know that they're having a problem. Remember to click away when you're done typing so we can see what you've written. Everyone grab a spot. How do you know that your child is having a problem? One-word answers. Yes, the teenage years are quintessential for those.
Megan and Vanessa, don't forget to click away from what you've written so we can see what you've written when you've written it. There we go. I see Megan's now.
Very contrary. Yes, that's definitely a big one.
What does contrary look like?
Is that another word for sassy?
You can speak, you can unmute Megan if you wanted to talk.
Megan's son is still awake and wants to participate. Oh, that's fun.
Lovely.
And Vanessa, your oldest will talk about missing a cat that we had that ran away a few years ago and missing a great-grandfather she never met. Youngest, you're still learning. Hey, we're always learning, isn't that the truth? And so interesting that your oldest will, when she's feeling upset, she'll think about the things that other things have made her upset in her life. We did spaghetti toes together. Awesome! That's so great. I'm glad, Megan, that you're already using some of the things we're working through today. It's a great before bed activity too. Right, so we all have ways of knowing when something's up with our kids. And it's absolutely, as you said, Vanessa, we're always still learning. Children grow and change and develop new routines and new habits all the time. So it's great to keep an eye out and see what's happening for them. So even with children's great imagination, they can get stuck in the red zone and become frustrated, angry, or upset when encountering problems. Problem solving is a critical thinking skill and one of the most important skills that children can learn. Even young children can learn how to solve simple, child-sized problems. Children who learn to solve problems are more able to move from the red zone to the green zone and feel better. They learn to make choices about things that bother or upset them, and by facing their problems and learning to solve them, they develop confidence in themselves and become capable people. Kids Have Stress too have tips and activity sheets for parents and children to use for problem solving. One tool families might find helpful is the How to Solve a Problem handout that outlines steps to solve a problem. The first step is to identify the problem. The second step is to figure out how big of a problem it is to your child. As you can see in the picture here, the number of fingers indicates how big of a problem it is. One finger being a small problem and all 5 fingers being a really big problem. Keep in mind that parents and children often are not on the same page with regards to how big of a problem it is. To your child, the problem might be a 5, but to you as the adult, the problem might only be a 1. It's important to have these discussions and listen to what your children are telling you. Step 3 is to identify options to solve the problem. It's difficult not to solve problems for children, but we need to let them think of some possible solutions and help them think them through. The next step is to choose which option they'd like to try, imagine what may happen together, and put it into action. The last step is to check in at a later time and see how the solution worked. Family meetings are a great way to work through problem solving together and strengthen the connection of family members. So up to this point in the workshop, we spent a lot of time talking about how you as the parent can connect to your child. Now we want to look at how your child can stay connected to the parent who's away and how you both can stay connected to your broader community. So what are you doing right now, or what are you thinking of doing to keep connected to the parent who's going to be away or is away right now? Grab a spot on the screen and tell us one of your strategies that you're using to keep connected. Could be FaceTime, could be Facebook, could be letters. What kinds of things is everyone trying? You know, we recognize that sometimes it can be hard to keep connected during deployment. We're actually going to be running a workshop in March called Keeping Connected Through Deployment, which is going to be all about communication strategies. Because we recognize that it's not easy to do when you're relying on technology a lot of the time. Margaret, when he was away, you wouldn't speak for weeks. That's an example of how challenging it can be. Megan, you set milestone dates. Every Friday's ice cream day. Every night he gets a kiss, a daddy kiss. Oh, that's sweet. What a great way to keep dad incorporated in daily activities and have a little treat as well. Vanessa, emails. The oldest likes to type and send lots of emojis. My mother-in-law likes to do that too. She just recently discovered the emojis on the iPhone. She's a big fan. Skype when he's near the internet. Yeah, he doesn't have a cell phone. Many of them don't, or the reception's unreliable. So do your best to keep connected how we can. Great creative strategies, everyone.
How are the emails on the ship? Are they pretty good? Like, do they have access every day?
It depends on the ship. Sometimes there'll be a communication blackout and they won't have access to technology that day. Usually it's not too bad. Just depends on where they are. Yeah, sometimes, that's for sure. That's the easy non-answer. It depends. So keeping connected is all about finding ways to keep the deployed parent present in day-to-day life, just like the strategies you identified. Brainstorming ways to keep the connection even before the parent leaves is a great idea. You could also invite older children to share past deployment experiences with their younger brothers and sisters, if applicable. Strategies could include talking about the deployed parent during regular conversations with your children, at dinner time, bedtime, or while playing. You could also map the deployed parent's route, and school-age children can research where their parent is traveling to, what language might be spoken there, what currency might be used, and so on. Involve children in coming up with a communication plan. As you identified, it might include the phone, Skype, FaceTime, email, whatever works for your family. But it's also important to remind children that the plan can't always be perfectly followed. We've all had the experience of communication blackouts or the internet going down or what have you. And Megan, as you're saying here, yes, you're right. No phone and no internet on the sub. So they are down there for weeks at a time sometimes. Older children may benefit from receiving emails and letters of their own. I believe, Vanessa, you said that that's something that they do, and that's a great idea, something that's just for them from their deployed parents. So for children who might be feeling a little bit shy or apprehensive when it comes to speaking to the parent who's away, you might find that they freeze or get nervous on the phone. So something that may help is to write down ideas as they come up of what your child might want to talk to daddy or mommy about who's away. You can write them down and keep them in a jar, a box, or a file folder for when calls are scheduled to help children have an idea of what they want to talk about. Some families have shared that they've had the deployed parent do creative things like record reading their children their favorite stories to listen to before bed, or record good night messages on their phone. Take note of special occasions and also think of creative ways for the deployed parent to participate. maybe homemade cards planned in advance, voice recordings or video messages. There's a great opportunity to get creative there. Remember, you don't have to go it alone. Military families are fortunate to have a broad network of resources and supports available to them. It may be helpful to think of your resources as being in 3 broad categories. Personal resources, such as family and friends, neighbors, your personal strengths, resiliency, and experiences. Social supports, such as ministers, pastors, or spiritual advisors, coaches, teachers, mentors, colleagues, and so on. And community resources, including primary care physicians, mental health professionals, community centers, the MFRC, of course, the Family Info Line, the Canadian Forces Member Assistance Program, other military families, and more. Remember, there are other people in your children's lives that they have daily or weekly contact with. It's a good idea to talk with them about the deployment so they're aware of what's going on in your child's life. Daycare providers and teachers can observe how your child is doing and provide reassurance and support to your child. It can also be helpful to assist your school-age child in telling their friends about their parents' deployment if they're willing to do so. Remember, kids might be sensitive about the subject, so be sure to let them take the lead with when and how much they want to tell their friends. You can also let children know that there are children who experience the similar feelings about their parent being away. Deployment activities at the MFRC are a great chance for children to spend time with others who are experiencing the same thing. So here is some of those resources you can turn to in times for support, for more information or for specialized services if there are specific concerns you have for yourself or your child. Using your pointer tool, point to one of these that you have heard of, maybe something you've used in the past or would consider using in the future. I'm biased, of course, but I have heard. The MFRC is familiar. That's good. Anything else, something you're familiar with or something you've taken advantage of before or might take advantage of in the future? It's minister and spiritual advisor, great ones. Coach or mentor and teacher, excellent. Excellent. Glad to see we're all, making use of some resources available to us. Out of curiosity, using the chat bar, could you maybe share something that you've tried that isn't on the list? If anything comes to mind. We're always learning about new resources that are available to families or that they're finding helpful. It's always great to hear. IKEA has 1 hour of free childcare? What? Caregivers Brigade website. What's that, Margaret?
So the Caregivers Brigade website is a website started by 3 military spouses whose husbands have PTSD, and there's more than 147 now different organizations that they bring all the organizations together, because when they were doing all the paperwork and everything, they had to reinvent the wheel each time, so they said, let's just put it in one place. So it's a phenomenal website. I can share it with you here if you like, or I can share it in the after session email. With resources for RCMP, military families, self-care, children care, Strongest Families is there. Yeah, it's just great.
Oh, what an excellent resource. Yes, please do share that with us. Maybe plunk it in the chat bar so everyone can take a look.
Sure. Let me get it up for you.
And great tip about an hour of free childcare at IKEA. That's a wonderful thing to know. Good for them. They really know what families need. Yeah, so these are great. So I'm glad that some of these are familiar to people or something they would take advantage of, and also great to hear some additional suggestions. Too often, we find that people wait too long to reach out for support, and that can happen for all kinds of reasons. And unfortunately, that results in challenges getting to the red zone before support is accessed. Most children will be able to adjust to a new normal after the departure of a parent. But some children may continue to experience serious symptoms of stress, and their ability to function at home, school, and in social settings can be impacted. The primary difference between a normal and serious reaction is one of degree and duration. Parents are encouraged to seek help at any time from their family doctor, a social worker, the MFRC, a counselor, or a padre if they have concerns about their child. At the MFRC, we encourage families to reach out for support if they have a concern and know that these resources are there for you.
I have one more question.
Please.
Can you bring your pointers one more time? Is there anything here that you've never heard of or don't know what it is?
Great question, Margaret.
In this list? Family and friends. Megan, you do have it.
The Family Info Line, okay, that's a great one. So that is a 24-hour line that's available specifically to military families. And they actually just recently started providing telephone counseling as part of their suite of services. So it's something you can call anytime for someone to talk to ask questions about where a resource might be available if you're looking for a specific program or service related to services for military families. They're a great resource for that. We link in with them often here at the MFRC. Okay, rounding on to strategy 9, last strategy. So we've spent a lot of time today talking about you as parents and how you can support your child and how you can support the deployment. However, we need to acknowledge that you have needs as an individual too. Taking care of yourself is as important as any of the other strategies we've discussed so far. As you face this new normal, it's important to tap into your inner self, your inner Yoda. Renee Jane from GoZen's blog offers different ways of thinking that can help you navigate difficult times and find a state of peace and calm, even when it feels like stormtroopers are approaching at light speed. One way to find your inner Yoda is to remember that when it comes to stressors in your life, we can't control everything. As an example, the fact that your loved one's going to be away for a period of time is out of your control. However, what can you control? Put your energy into these things, and remember to choose your battle. There's a quote we like to share, and it's, "You cannot direct the wind, but you can adjust the sails." So just like you can't run forever on an empty tank, you can't serve from an empty cup. Self-care is how you give back to yourself to refill your cup so you have something to give to others. Some gentle reminders. We all know that maintaining a healthy lifestyle is important, but it can be so hard to do. We can try to get adequate sleep, exercise when we can, and eat healthy. Nurture a support system. It can moderate the effects of stress and have a positive outcome on mental health. One way to do this is to join a deployment network. Plan time for rest and fun. Unfortunately, when we're stressed, one of the first things we give up is fun. We say to ourselves, I don't have time for fun. But fun is what fuels us and gives back more energy than it drains. So we must keep this element in our lives during separation. Try to recognize limits and take breaks, ensuring adequate downtime. This could mean even just pulling over to the side of the road for 5 minutes before picking the kids up to give yourself a chance to take a breath. Balance priorities and demands. Learning to say no, or simply to put down things that are not a priority, is a skill that will be extremely helpful during times of deployment. And keep connected with your loved one who's away. Develop a communication strategy between yourselves. How often you will try to talk, maybe without children present, what is and is not okay to talk about, how much detail is wanted, and what little things you can do to show each other you care and appreciate one another as co-parents. There's going to be a workshop, like I mentioned, in March called Keeping Connected Through Deployment that's going to focus specifically on that and how to keep connected as spouses and as parents.
Oh, is there? Is that going to be in the virtual classroom as well?
It is, yes. We have to talk to you about that and set up a date and hopefully request your services again, Margaret.
Awesome. That's great. Maybe I can learn a thing or two.
Awesome. So we've zoomed through just over an hour and 15 minutes and 9 strategies. Thank you for staying with us. I recognize we've gone a little bit later than we had said we would, but we've just enjoyed spending time with you so much. We weren't ready to say goodbye yet. So as we mentioned, we'll be sending out an email with all the content and resources we've shared. If you have any questions, just let us know by email or by phone. We also ask that you take a few minutes to fill out the evaluation, which is going to pop up as soon as you exit this screen, so we can keep improving on this experience for families. Now, as we sign off, we ask that each of you type on the slide one more time, "I can do this." or some other positive affirmation.
And you know what else I'd like people to write down if it's possible, Danny?
Yes.
How about also what was your aha moment from today?
Ah, your aha moment.
What spoke to you?
Oh, mine was that IKEA has an hour of free childcare. Definitely. That's a great tip.
I can do this. That's putting positive self-talk
I
into
got
my
this.
head.
Yes. Awesome positive self-talk. Megan, I got this. I love that one. You can also say, I'm crushing this.
We're not alone. We've got a whole wealth of information, and the MFRC is awesome.
Yes.
Great. Oh, well,
this parenting thing is tough. Oh, go ahead, Margaret.
I was just noticing I like the first step of the deployment process.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. And again, you know, speaking of future virtual programs, we are at some point planning to offer a Supporting Children Through Reunion version of this, which would be similar content, but structured towards helping children prepare for welcoming a parent home and how that can be challenging and exciting. That's where we would talk about the rest of the cycle. And Vanessa, the breathing exercises and deployment board ideas, yeah, those are so fun. I've also had people in the past use deployment treasure chests, something you can make as a family, like a toolbox, or you can make it like a pirate's chest, and you can help your children store things that they want to share with the parent who's away for when they get home. It could be a test they did well on at school, or a picture that they drew, or a stone they found at the beach, or a shell. So when their parent comes home, they've got this huge box of trinkets to go through together. So fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, this parenting thing is tough, and deployment certainly adds to it. But we believe that families can survive and even thrive.
Yeah, it takes a village.
It does. Thank you all for joining us.
And to exit out, you just click on the red X at the top right-hand side of the screen. And we're having in March a great session on self-care actually as well, so in the virtual world. So look forward to sharing that with you.
Mm-hmm. My colleague Elizabeth Thomas will be facilitating that with you, Margaret.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She was another one of my students.
Yes, I remember. Kara now too is, and Andrea are your students as well. You've taught us well.
I think so.
Thank you both so much for participating. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
We'll keep you posted on upcoming programs.
Oh, definitely. If you're not already receiving our e-news, definitely give a call to our front desk and sign up. It's the best way to stay in touch with what's coming.
Can you put my email address on that, Danny?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Kerplunk, kerplunk.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.